So if you have not yet heard, we got a little voicemail box set up for y'all. 629-888-3931. Call the show. Give us your take. Give us whatever you want to talk about, whether it be college football or maybe college football plus. Got a nice little voicemail from one of you. Wanted to talk about Miami and also wanted to talk about getting started in sports media. A little 2-for-1 here. Go ahead and listen to this, and we'll answer it on the other side.
How you doing, JD? This is T. I'm calling from Orlando, Florida. I'm a diehard Miami Hurricane. And I have two questions for you. First one, why does Miami catch so many bullets, so many strays? And my second question is, I'm trying to start a podcast. What would you suggest I go about doing first? I mean, I majored in communication. I'm a Big Ten grad. Just let me know. Thanks, man. Keep doing what you do. Love it.
Good stuff, T. Appreciate you calling in again. 629-888-3931. Give us a call. Leave a voicemail. Keep it somewhat concise for us like T did so we get you on the air in a somewhat efficient fashion. But I want to answer the first part of that with the Miami question, and we'll get to the sports media side after that. So the question was, why does Miami catch so many strays, so much flack, almost this negative vibe from the college football public towards Miami? I think that's not an unfair thing to say. And when I got to thinking about this, I think that this problem is not just unique to Miami when it comes to there being strays sent their way. I think it's most big logos that just haven't won a national championship all that recently, or that haven't made the college football playoff or won their conference all that recently. And I think about it like a cheesecake. There's several layers to this thing, all right? And the first layer is what I just said, the logo. Like, whenever you have a big logo, there is a lot of individuals that don't have a big logo that feel some type of way about it. And I can say the exact same thing for myself. When I was at Cornell, guess who we hated? Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Because we assumed our own thoughts around what they thought of themselves. Like, when you have a logo like a Miami, you probably have other people on the outside thinking, they think they're so great just because they go to Miami, or because they're a Miami fan, or because they have the U or whatever. Like, it comes with the territory, whether it's true or not. Like, I met several people from those schools that I just told you I hated. Wonderful people, super nice. But in my head, I'm like, they think they're great because they went to that school or have that logo. We all kind of hate the guy that just drives the Ferrari, right? We all just kind of think our own thoughts about what they believe about themselves. Just comes with the territory, all right? So that part I can't really help you with too much. That's probably going to be there whether you win the national championship in the next 5 years or not. The logo just kind of brings some criticism with it. The second layer to this cheesecake, though, is the big fan base part of it. Now, this is the most complex because anytime there's a big fan base, there's usually pretty good volume as well to go with that fan base. Nature of the beast, we're cool with it. It's what makes college football great because you got a lot of people dialed into the sport. But with big fan base, big volume, I think it leaves the room for more misunderstanding around that fan base. Like Texas, I think, is a great example. For the longest time, you had people talking about Texas fans in the vein of, oh, well, they think they should win the national championship every single year. Why? Because you got some fringe Texas fans, and the average fringe Texas fan base is larger than the other average, fringe fan base for whatever school because it's a smaller fan base, and they get to have a little bit more volume to themselves saying, we think we should win the national championship, where the majority is actually not shouting crazy things on Twitter. They just want to get back to being competitive, all right? And I think it's kind of the same thing for Miami. There's this thought, I think, that some people believe in the Miami fan base they should go win the national championship every single year. It's like, I don't know that the average educated, dialed-in Miami fan actually feels that way on a daily basis. Now, I'm sure it's a goal. I'm sure it's an aspiration. I think they believe that they should, if they keep recruiting at a high level, eventually get there under Mario Cristobal. But I don't think it's like, if we don't win a national championship, this is a lost season. I don't think that's actually their attitude. So the misunderstanding part of it for your fan base, with it being so massive, is another layer why Miami gets some strays. Now, the third layer is also pretty complex of this cheesecake. If they're supposed to be good, they being a big logo, they being Miami, based on what they have on their roster, and then don't win the conference or don't make the playoff, everyone is very quick to say, well, it was the logo as to why they had so much preseason hype. No, dude, like just people that follow the sport for their job, that follow recruiting for their job, that follow talent acquisition in college football. liked the roster in the month of July, so they projected them to be a team that could go win the ACC. Like we sat here, I think it was a season ago, and told you Cam Ward's going to have the best season in Miami football history for quarterback. It happened. In July, a year ago, it wasn't insane to say that Miami, in that context, would be a college football playoff team. Nobody had on their bingo card it would be an abysmal defense situationally, just like nobody thought that was going to be the case. So if they underachieve, they being a Miami or a big logo, there's always this thought of, well, people overhype them just for the logo. No, like I trust the input at Miami. Why? Because I trust Mario Cristobal and the way he adds talent. So that's the third layer of this whole thing. I don't think they're ever going to have that appetite for Miami or a big logo to be accounted for their preseason projection until they actually go win a conference title or go win the national championship or whatever that hardware is. Hard to argue with the trophy. Now, the cherry on top here, and Caden Smith mentioned this last week talking about Miami, and I want to bring it up again. If a team was previously good, you get multiple reactions relative to that previous success. The first is what we already talked about. People think that, you're just entitled. You're just entitled to thinking that what you had in the 80s and the early 2000s is what you should have every single year. Therefore, stray from Miami. Therefore, negative thought about Miami. Well, in actuality, if you had success in the early 2000s and the 80s at one point in time for Miami, you're not entitled for thinking that you should have a chance to go compete for some hardware again. It's just because you saw it happen there before, so therefore you believe it can happen again. Like, it's just, I don't think that's a unfair thing to think if you're a fan of Miami. The other reaction is people saying, well, they're just going to underachieve. Yep, Miami, they're supposed to go be great because they did this in the 2000s or the 80s, underachieve because they didn't go win the national championship. It's like, well, yeah, relative to the history, I suppose you could make that case. But, like, does the Ray Lewis Miami Hurricanes have any bearing on Miami when they lose to Georgia Tech? No. I'm sure Ray Lewis wasn't happy about it. I'm sure Ed Reed wasn't thrilled about that whole thing. Like Andre Johnson, we know Michael Irvin, he wasn't thrilled about it, but it doesn't have any actual impact on that specific football team. So I hear that thought, but I don't think it's actually something that's all that fair. So that's my thoughts on Miami. It's a big cheesecake, brother. It's kind of the stick you draw if you're going to be a Miami fan, and it's kind of the stick you draw if you're a big fan of any massive college football logo that's recognizable in this space. Now, the podcast part of this thing is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Couple of thoughts here, and I want to preface with this. I am by no means an expert on this. I'm very fortunate to do this for a job and get to have my own opinion on this. I would say the biggest thing that keeps people from getting into sports media and being successful in sports media is being so nervous or so hesitant to just get started. Like, I think we always want to have the perfect podcast name, got to have the right lighting, got to have the right mic, got to have the right camera. Oh, that's expensive, got to save up. Oh, but I don't have time. Just get started. Do it ugly. Do it the ugly way. Do it with your AirPod mic. Do it with your iPhone as the camera. Do it with your lamp as a lighting. Just get started, because the reality is 90% of the people that you are competing, in air quotes, against won't do it. 90%. So just get started. Get started. The other part of this is be consistent with it. I think the beautiful part about digital media and the emergence of this whole college football digital media space is it gives you access to everybody on their cell phones by way of Spotify or Apple or YouTube, and you have the opportunity to jump into someone's daily routine. And the way that you're able to do that is, again, by being consistent. Like, I'll say this for our show. We don't miss a show. And it's not because we, are just so married to the game and we're just grinders about this whole thing, which I would say those parts are probably true of us as well. But, like, we understand we have people that, whether it's Christmas Day, New Year's Day, if it's a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Wednesday during college football season, you expect to have this show. And so with that being your agreement and your vote of confidence in us to listen to this show on a routine basis, we're going to make sure that we are meeting that standard that we have set together to give you what you wanted. Last thing I'll say, and this is probably the most important of this entire discussion and getting started in sports media, just be real, man. It's a way easier thing to say than to do. But I had a friend of mine who does music for a living tell me this one time, and it stuck with me several years ago. He said, everybody in the space before they get started, whether it's music or whether it's content creation. Everyone in the creative realm thinks that they are trying to pitch something to somebody that they will eventually like. You're always trying to figure out, wait, what are they going to like? Well, people aren't really necessarily looking for what they like so much as looking for something real and authentic. Why? Because that connects. And that's why digital media, I think, is taking off. That's why Joe Rogan's taken off. Josh Pate's taken off. That's why you have all these different voices emerging from podcast platforms, because they talk like normal people. You don't have a teleprompter in front of you reading news. You're listening to a real person talk about something they care about. And so just be authentic, be real. Don't try and copy anyone's flow or rhythm or whatever. Just like be yourself. And if you're excited about it and you care about it, you're passionate about it, that's going to connect with your people, and your people are who's going to listen to you. So, T, appreciate you calling in and asking that question and talking about your Canes, man. And let us know if you get that podcast started, brother, because we will be excited to check it out.